Welcome, grub gurus and breadheads. Today we have we switch it up each week.
But bread.
Well, you know, we're staying on theme because we have the fabulous Julian Loue. I did say it right. Okay, perfect. And he is the owner of Rise Bakery. I have had the pleasure of getting to know you over the past few years, doing some wonderful dinners with us, but we wanted to bring you in as our first outside of the cook station guest to get to know you a little bit more and just talk about your involvement in the community and in the culinary scene in Greenville. What's going on?
Well, first, thanks for having me. Happy to be the guinea pig, the test subject for this inaugural episode. And yeah, I'm at your mercy. I'm happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Fabulous.
History. I want to know history. I want to know, like, about the man. Know what's going on.
Well, yes. So, Julian, why don't you just give us a quick rundown about Rise Bakery? You know, you started during COVID, correct?
Yeah. I was a hobby baker. Always an avid cook. So I had chef friends and I would do, private events and stuff like that, but never wanted to be a chef.
Mm-hmm.
That lifestyle just didn't
Nobody
appeal to me.
does. Nobody's awful.
Yeah, I'm just more of a morning person is really what it came down to. So I was a hobby baker during the pandemic. I had to work from home. I had been working in the field before that. So in order to keep from going crazy, I just started baking bread and giving it away to people just to keep busy. And then the demand, people just wanted it consistently and offered to pay me for it. So it just kind of snowballed from there. And I started an Instagram page and started taking orders every week and selling bread off of my porch. And then I did a year at the TR Farmers Market. And then we found our storefront. And now we've been open 4 years. So that's kind of the condensed version.
What field were you working in? You said I was working in the field.
Yes. I was in the automotive industry for about 15 years. So the last 10 years of that career, I was an auto damage adjuster for an insurance company.
Oh, gotcha.
So I just drove around and inspected wrecked cars every day. And that was a great gig while it was great. And then everything changed during COVID. Yeah, we were able to work remotely and do virtual inspections, and then it kind of took the joy out of it for me.
Yeah. So you baking recreationally?
Yeah.
Your mom like it? I mean, why did you pick up that sort? Out of all the things to do, why did you pick up?
It's actually a kind of a funny story. I hated baking. Anything where I had to measure, I was not interested.
Yeah, it's a science. Yeah.
It definitely is a science.
When you're cooking, you can just kind of riff. You don't have to worry about a formula or getting your percentages right on anything. But a good friend of mine, Chef John Malick, actually.
Yeah.
He was baking sourdough, and every now and again he would bring us some if he was coming over for dinner. Or we'd go to his house and he'd serve us some. And he did a little intro to sourdough class at his house. Gave me some of his starter, and then I just got obsessed. I started just fixating on technique and getting better and really making beautiful bread. Because frankly, I wanted better bread than what I could get in the store. And that was kind of the catalyst that drove it all. My father's French, so I grew up visiting him in France and experiencing just the great bread that is really frankly commonplace there.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't find here. So I was like, well, if I can't find it, I'll just figure out how to make it. And that was the beginning of a quest.
That's kind of cool. It's funny because, me and Vinny didn't grow up in South Carolina.
No.
We grew up Italian Americans in New York, and it's funny how bread and baking, it's how would you describe it, Vin? I mean, like my mom had specific bakeries that she would go to for specific things. And it was so funny. I mean, even that, I mean, it's almost life. Bread is almost kind of life.
Yeah.
It was at every table, but you couldn't touch it because you'd ruin your appetite.
Of course.
And, but it was kind of forced on you. It was always there. As soon as you sat down, a little olive oil bread, your hand was doing something right.
You can only go to one bakery. You couldn't go to the other bakery, so you get yelled at. It's like, wait, why are you going to Torino's? Torino sucks. You got to go to Favana's. You know, it's like.
But it was so funny. There was some things she liked at that guy's, and there was some things she liked at that guy's. And if you wanted cakes, it was another guy. It was just kind of funny. But that's how passionate. I'm sure in the French it was the same way. Your dad, there's kind of not too dissimilar to that.
Oh yeah, I mean, he lives outside of just like a tiny little town in Normandy. And even still, it's this tiny, tiny little town, but there's two boulangeries there.
Yeah.
And there's the one you go for the baguette, and the other one you go for the croissant, because they each are better in their respective things. Yeah. But to kind of dovetail into your upbringing, my family's all just Jewish New Yorkers. So, very similar culture there. You know where you go for your bagel or your bialy or your rye bread or your challah. And it could be various bakeries depending on who had the best one. But yeah, that culture is very much the same. Like bread culture is just super strong in so many different, ethnicities that it's really like the one kind of universal thing. Like everybody's got some sort of bread that like brings the family together.
Oh yeah, especially when you start looking at history. I mean, it's funny even when they go through history. The history of the world could be talked to through bread. Talk to that was from day one, man. Couldn't catch a buffalo. This is what we did. We made bread.
That's right.
That was kind of that thing.
Yeah, and that was the transition from like hunter-gatherer, like nomadic society to like settled societies that started agriculture, bread and beer.
Yeah.
And I think beer came
two greatest
first,
things
actually.
in the whole world. The greatest things in the world. Right there, that would be my whole diet, as you can tell.
Yeah.
I'm made out of beer and bread.
That's where math started. Math started because people were
had to figure out how to
grain.
make that crap.
Yeah.
Math started because what?
People were trading grain.
Oh.
Yeah, because of the grain agriculture. That's what was like the catalyst to start so much like settlement and then math and commerce and trade. Like it was all started around grain.
And it's so funny, like, Emmy, I don't know how many of those bread classes we did. We had one this weekend, and it's just funny how that has taken off. I'm not going to say taken off, but people have gotten back in touch with that idea, of
It seems a lot of that came from COVID era when people had more time to like be at home, and because it's a process of it's a living creature, and there's timing and things that you're doing throughout making a loaf of bread, and I feel like people were just like had time to do it for the first time in a while. Or what do you think? Was it before that?
I mean, for me, it was the birth of my daughter that like
Okay.
I had to find a hobby to keep me busy while I was like home a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think COVID was that catalyst for a lot of people where like all of a sudden people just had all this time on their hands and like didn't want to go to the grocery store. The grocery stores were cleaned out. So like, yeah, people started sourdough, and it was great timing for me because I had a year head start on all of the, the COVID sourdough bakers. So, people would try their hand at it and then realize they didn't want to commit that much time and effort. And then they appreciated my bread so much more.
Yes.
Because they understood a little bit of the background. I mean, our bread takes 3 days to make. That's what it takes to make like a proper loaf of sourdough. It takes a lot of effort and time and scheduling.
Yes. It's mapping out the day for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Your website talks a lot about your leadership and knowing you. You really appreciate your team. What inspires that kind of leadership in you?
I think desperation drives a lot of things. And when you start a business and don't know anything about leading people and just want to bring bread to the community, and you have so much turnover and you don't understand why, there comes this aha moment that you're like, maybe I need to dig into figuring out how to keep people happy and how to make good jobs. So for me, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I know I need to do it better. So I'm going to dig in and learn. And that has become my main focus, over the last 2 years at least, is like, all right, how do I make good jobs for people? How do I make this sustainable? How do I make this a place where people can like put down roots and make this a home and really have a future with us and be able to live comfortably. because that's all I want for myself too. So I've got to figure out how to give that to my team. And now we've got a team of 20 people.
That's wow, 20 people in there.
Yeah, and lots of anniversaries. You know, a lot of people have been with us now multiple years, and for being open 4 years, I take that as a big win.
Yeah, absolutely. We were in a meeting last week, and we were talking about new hires at the Greenville Tech meeting, and you said, you know, people don't have a cover letter, like I don't interview them really. And I thought that was interesting because you're not just looking for a body to fill the space of checking someone out. You want to make sure that there's someone that can fit culturally within you, or like, why do you want to work for me, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, artisan baking is not for the faint of heart, and it's not a profession we're going to get rich in. You know, it's something that has to be driven by passion. And if you've got the passion, and if you come to me with enthusiasm and positivity and a willingness to learn, I don't care if you've got any experience. Like, we can teach you the skills. That's the easy part. Finding somebody who gets our mission, who's on board with what we're doing, and really sees the value in it. That's the part that I need. You know. Yeah.
So besides bread, I mean, just on the plate that you brought, which I'm going to start eating a cookie with my coffee. I mean, it's not just bread either. I mean, so it's don't you spin that cookie for me. But it's not just bread either. So I mean, you know, we started talking about artisan bread and all this, but I mean, Rise is now a full scale bakery, and you know, talk about, you know, that kind of stuff about products, entering products. You know, you sitting there, you started with, you know, bread, and you're like, you know, I'd really like to. I mean, would you ever do matzah? I mean, is there anything? I mean, is there stuff that you like have on the menu now that you're like, oh, it may go, and I might bring this in? I mean, how do you go about coming up with what you're baking?
You know, I think it's very methodical. We try to be really intentional. You know, I try to have kind of a very well curated small variety of things that are all executed really well. And then also kind of keep things fresh and fun seasonally, especially with how amazing the produce is here in the South. I mean, gosh, in the summer we just have so much great stuff to work with. So it was a slow evolution. You know, the sourdough chocolate chip cookie that you're going to have with your coffee, that was inspired by the fact that I had a lot of time to kill while bread was in the oven, and because I could only bake anywhere from 2 to 8 loaves at a time in my home oven while I was building out my garage bakery. Yeah. So I just had this time to kill. I'm up by myself early in the morning. I'm like, all right, well, what else can I make? So the sourdough chocolate chip cookie was born. And then over that first winter, I taught myself how to do the laminated pastries, do the croissant and that sort of thing. Because as it started to be clear that there was a business potential there, I was like, well,
you gotta have an offering.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I can do math. Yeah. I know that the bread alone isn't going to cut it. Yeah. I've got to have a wider variety of items to keep people coming in the door. And when we opened, I found it very apparent that the pastries were going to bring people in, but the bread was going to keep them coming back. And that's really what we've seen. Over the last 4 years, we've seen our pastry demand kind of level out. Like we know where people want us to be in terms of pastries, but our bread sales keep climbing. And that's been really cool to see because people value the good quality bread. It becomes part of their routine. Their family can't see eating any other kind of bread. So now it's one of those things where like, well, now that we know what good bread is, we can't go back.
So bread, it makes sense. So bread's an everyday kind of thing, but your other customers, somebody's birthday's coming, I'm going to get a couple of the cookies. You know, so those are the specialty things, but the bread is what keeps me knocking on the door. I'm going to come back there once a week and kind of do all that.
That's right. It's a daily staple.
That's kind of cool.
Especially the sandwiches you got there, though, like the brie one and the ham one. That's like my favorite thing to get there.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, that's one of those things where you go into any bakery in France and you can get a ham and butter sandwich.
Yes, it's amazing.
It's just like the most quintessential French thing. So I knew from the get-go, like, all right, that's something that we're always going to have on the menu.
Yeah, and then don't take that away. It's great.
And then we played with rotating a vegetarian sandwich on our baguette, and once I landed on our fig and brie sandwich, people loved it so much. I was like, all right, I'm going to stop reinventing the wheel. I'm just going to keep that on the menu all the time. So
even though figs are seasonal kind of things. I mean,
Well, it's a fig jam. We use
gotcha.
a nice French brie, arugula, Dijon mustard, and then we house pickle red onions. And that's something we can keep on the menu year round. And it's a good complement to the ham and butter sandwich, which is just super simple and classic. We use a really nice Virginia country ham. You know, we actually slice the butter cold on the meat slicer like it's a piece of cheese. So when you look at the sandwich, it looks like cheese, but it's butter.
Yeah.
But you get that nice kind of textural contrast. It's just one of the best pieces of food ever. Like that's the one thing that like I can't resist. I have to have at least one.
It's not a
favorite.
It's not a cutlet.
No, it's not a chicken cutlet, but still, you know. You can put a chicken cutlet on it if you want. It's still good.
Yeah.
I mean, his baguettes are like the best around, you know. So.
And they're the best travel food. Like,
yeah,
it's become a thing now where people will come in before they fly out of GSP. They'll come grab a couple ham and butter sandwiches, throw them in your backpack, and then you can have them whenever throughout the day that you feel peckish, and then you get to leave crumbs everywhere. It's great. That's right. Like Hansel and Gretel.
Fresh bread, shelf life. I mean, you get that thing. I start cutting on it, and it's funny. I'm not bringing up like Harvest and some of those places, but it's so funny. I don't know if you can even say this because it's going to go out in the world, but you get those things for Christmas, right? And by the time you get it there, it's moldy and all that other kind of stuff, things like that. It's funny. I remember my grandmother, and I don't know if yours did this too. I mean, fresh baked bread seemed to have stay forever, or it felt like it stayed forever. And she would even put it in shopping bags, paper shopping bags, and she would kind of roll that thing up, and then it became a crouton. But it was funny. Even later on, they would dip it in coffee. I mean, that bread just lasted forever.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the shelf? I mean, like after you have a loaf of, make that bread, we start eating on it. What if we didn't just chomp through it? I mean, shelf stable. I mean, does it go?
Well, I think storage is important.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want a high moisture environment, so you don't want to put it in a plastic bag necessarily because then it'll get moldy.
Yeah.
But you don't want it in a dry environment because then it's going to get hard. Now, typically we do, the best advice we can give people is, hey, wrap it in plastic, whatever. What I'll do, I'll put it cut side down on the cutting board.
Yeah.
And and then the next day you stand it back up and you cut more off of it and it's fine. But I want to back up because I think there's a little bit more explanation that goes behind the shelf life part of it.
Yeah.
Store-bought bread has a long shelf life because it's full of nonsense.
Just shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just full of preservatives and dough conditioners and all the things that our bodies don't need. Sourdough bread, however, has a long shelf life for other reasons. Part of that is because when we use natural leavening or sourdough cultures, it builds a natural acidity in the bread, and that's why people call it sourdough. Sourness isn't necessarily our objective, but it is one of the byproducts of the natural leavening process. But that acidity that builds up in the dough also serves as a natural preservative, right? Bacteria doesn't like to live in a high acid environment, right? So that helps preserve it. Plus, we use a really high hydration on our dough. And what that means is there's just a lot of water in there. So because there's a lot of water, it takes longer for that bread to get stale. So there's a couple factors that go into stain and freshness. But I would say, that country loaf of sourdough, in a home that's not too warm, lasts a week.
And that's why a lot of people get mad. They be like, I buy this, I buy this artisan bread, and as soon as you get it, but it is, you get that harvest bread. It's in a paper bag. You don't really know how long it's been sitting there. That stuff kind of goes there. So there is an advantage. People get so worried about not buying, it goes bad fast. But if you keep it well, it doesn't.
Well, I mean, you leave a steak on your counter. How long is it going to go bad?
Benny, you eat that thing all the time.
All the time.
Right? Fresh food, good food
goes bad.
Shouldn't last too long. If it does, I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right? Like a loaf of sourdough is going to last you a while. A baguette, you got one day to eat it. There's ways to wake it up and refresh it if you know what you're doing. The old trick in France is to actually run it underwater and then pop it in the oven, and that actually brings the life back to it, crisps up the crust again. So there's things you can do, but if you're just taking it for what it is, you got one day to eat that baguette. Otherwise, it's going to get tough. The texture's going to get different. It's not the same thing as it was the day it was baked.
Yeah.
That's why they're small. They're meant to be today's bread, and then maybe tomorrow's breakfast. but that's it.
Yeah.
That's a bread that's intended to be purchased and enjoyed every day. Which is not how our culture works.
No, it isn't. That's what people get all worked up about. It's point of use. A lot of in New York, it's that way too. It's a lot of point of use. You go and it's for the next 3 days. I'm buying for the next 3 days.
Sure.
You talked about some of the leadership, but you also talk a lot about other community organizations that matter to you. And tell us a little bit more about those. I think mentioned Mill Village Farms, Pendleton Place, Loaves and Fishes. Some of your involvement in those areas and why they matter to you and the community.
Well, I think we can't be blind to our surroundings, right? And especially a business like us where our pastries and certain breads of ours have a 1-day shelf life. If I don't sell it today, I'm either throwing it away or I've got to find somebody who wants it. And we try not to have too much waste. We try to be responsible when it comes to our production, but we don't always know what today's demand is going to be. So for us to have partners like Loaves and Fishes, it's a great resource for both of us because they can come kind of on demand. And they're a big enough organization that they can get a bunch of bread potentially and then distribute it to several different outlets that could use it. Right. So that's, a lot of the time, one charitable organization, they might not be able to use everything that we've got for them that day. But Loaves and Fishes can make sure that it gets spread around. And then just in our immediate neighborhood, there are so many great causes. So, I'm really lucky that when, as a business owner, you get approached almost daily by people asking to donate to this or that cause. Mm-hmm. And I can say, hey, we are really dedicated to focusing all of our charitable contributions in our neighborhood. If you're a cause that directly impacts this neighborhood, then let's talk. Otherwise, we're going to focus on the people that live right here, who can walk to my bakery.
Talking about the community and the neighborhood you're in right now, there's a lot of big changes happening around the store. What are some of the things that you're most excited about or scare you the most too?
Oh man, there's so much happening in the village. One thing was that last year we went through a bit of a rebrand because where my bakery is has always been West Greenville.
Yeah.
Historically, it was West Greenville. Well, then somebody along the way in the city planning decided that the southern part of downtown is now called the West End. So then anytime we told people, hey, we're in West Greenville, they go, oh, the West End by the ball fields? No. No. We're in West Greenville. So the business association, we said, we're going to rebrand. We're just going to call it the Village to create a little bit more individuality and a bit more distinction between our part of Greenville. So that was a big thing. And now we're really digging into revitalizing and reactivating the Village. The reason we are there now is because the artists started moving into the derelict old storefronts in West Greenville and bringing them back to life and working out of those spaces. And then First Fridays came around and there were these pioneers that slowly started occupying these spaces and revitalizing.
Because like the art bomb, that stuff's been going on for
a very long
time. And it was so funny because 123 might as well have been the Great Wall of China. You never really crossed over. I mean,
right.
It was so funny because I remember when we were in the West End and I think we talked about this the last time, they rebranded Pendleton Street from Augusta to 123 as Main Street. And I think, the city was always looking to kind of, claim West Greenville into that little thing.
Yeah.
Because then you kind of put the pulse to it.
Yeah, and it's always been the artist community. Right?
Yeah.
It's always been kind of the art district of Greenville. So now we're really leaning into that, and we've engaged with a wayfinding and signage company out of Charlotte, and they've designed some really, really cool signage and wayfinding marquees that the city's going to help us get installed in the village. We're bringing back Ville Live, which is an art and music festival that actually starts this coming weekend. I don't know when this is going to run, but the first weekends of May and June, and then September and October. we're dovetailing onto First Fridays, and we're going to have a big art market down at Mill Village Ministries, and then a music festival in the Lawn by Pace Jewelers in West Greenville. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Even that guy is starting to put some money into his building and stuff like that. He didn't do anything forever. Pace. I love that place.
Yeah, and
and he's really
they're the one business that's been there since the 50s.
Forever.
Yeah. They've been there forever. And I think it's now the third generation of the family running the jewelry store, which is so cool. It's fun to be able to work with, now the third generation. He's running the place and he's getting involved with the business association and really trying to bring back some vibrancy in the village. And then there's a lot of real estate development happening as well. There's a huge mixed use property called Woven going up. It's going up really fast, but it's huge.
I tell you, it's so funny. Everything I hear you saying is the exact same thing Kelly and I went through, with the West End. And it's funny how you I hope you guys do a better job of fighting than we did to kind of keep it in that pure kind of thing. Because I think the West End lost a lot, when we needed the ballpark and we understood, we were always part of Main Street. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was kind of a pipeline dream that it would have stayed the cool little West End of town to develop the way it is. I'd hope that doesn't happen over there that way you are. Well, you hear development and you're like,
Yeah,
thank God Greenville Tech did what they did and took control of a lot of that property.
That's true too.
Yeah, I mean that would have hurt.
But I'm a firm believer in the fact that a rising tide lifts all ships. The more awareness, the more attraction we can bring to town, it helps all of us small businesses. Tourism is such a big part of my business and probably your business as well. Yeah. We need those people who want to come and check out Greenville, and I'm here for it. The one thing that has been true since the dawn of time is that the only constant is change. So I'm riding the wave. Like, let's do it. I can't control the change, but I can control what I do with it and how we engage with it. Yeah. And that's the fun part. When this Woven development's done, I'm going to have 200 more residents across the street from my shop. That's incredible. That's great. Yeah. I want some foot traffic. I'd love for people to walk in and grab their morning coffee and a pastry before they go to work. Please bring it on. Yeah.
Oh, that's great, though, man. I'm so excited. Is there still that boxing studio down there?
It's a boxing club.
Yeah, I love that.
Center for Educational Excellence, I think.
They do a great job. I forgot what the guy's name was. Marcus. He was a nice dude, man. And they did a lot for the community down there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, gosh, and if there is a cause worth donating to, that's one of them. I mean, they operate with zero budget, and the work that they do with the kids in the community and giving them some discipline and teaching them some skills. And they've actually had some really successful professional boxers come out of that youth program. Yeah. Which is really cool. I mean, that's just one of the many, outreach opportunities that there are.
And there's so much of this in there people don't know about that, but I guess Kelly and I would know if we weren't just, in the business thing. And I just happened to meet that boxing guy and heard his story. And it's so cool, again, what he does for his community, for the kids in there. Because they had nowhere to go. They couldn't cross over. They couldn't get over to the YMCA. They couldn't do. So, man, I had to do something for them. I thought that was always kind of cool.
Yeah. It's really amazing how kind of self-supporting the community can be. Yeah. And we're still trying to find ways to help support, some of those legacy residents of the area. I mean, there's no denying the fact that development is happening, gentrification is happening, property values are going up, and it could cause a concern, with people not being able to afford where they've lived forever. So we're working really closely with the city to try to help with whatever resources we can to allow people to stay in the community while the community is revitalized and thrives again.
You don't think I was going to not grab a pizza?
No, I was wondering what took you so long.
I know.
I'm glad
I got to yapping.
The proper knife too, though.
Yeah, I got to yapping.
So why don't you tell us about what you had?
Okay, so going around the circle, sourdough chocolate chip cookie. That was the first sweet item I started baking. Once I started the bakery. The morning bun here is our twist on a cinnamon roll. It's made with laminated dough like a croissant, so it's a little bit more flaky and kind of rich. And then we just toss it in sugar rather than covering it in a heavy icing. And then the one in the middle, that's the cardamom bun. That actually, I had one for the first time at a friend's bakery down in Athens, Georgia, an independent baking company. And I was doing a stage there before I opened my bakery just to kind of see how his ran. And one of his employees just shoved one of those in my face. He goes, "Here, you need to try this." And I was like, "All right, fine." And I took one bite of the cardamom bun and absolutely fell in love. And I was like, okay, this is something we have to have on the menu all the time. Because there's nothing else quite like it. And it's one of those things that, like, the first time you try one, you have to kind of pause and go, what the heck did I just eat? And for me, that's like the sign of a truly great item. It's
a lot less yapping, a lot more cutting on that bun. I think.
There you go. So yeah, dive into them. See what you think about them.
Oh man!
And of course, our rustic country loaf is like the bread that started it all for the bakery for us.
They like touch everything.
Yeah.
All right, so as you dive into that, I'm going to keep my questions, then we can do our rapid fire because I know we're coming up. But an interesting thing that Greg and I were just talking about is that it's been said that when you're around 9 years old, you know just enough about yourself and about the world to get a good idea for what you want to do or who you want to be, but your dreams haven't. You also don't know enough about, or have adults telling you can't do something, or the realization of money or things like that. What did you want to do when you were young, and do you think, and the people who actually do what they wanted to do when they were 9 years old
insurance
are
adjuster.
Technically the happiest in the world.
You wanted to do insurance.
Do you remember what you wanted to do when you were younger, and do you think it ties anything into what you're doing now?
I think when I was 9, I wanted to be Batman.
Okay.
But
you're saving the community with one loaf at a time.
He was kind of a science guy. Yeah, I can see that. I can see the jump.
No, actually, when I was that young, I think I wanted to be a judge.
Okay.
My parents went through a really crazy divorce, and I was like, thankful that the courts took care of me. And I was like, hey, I want to do that for other kids. And that was absolutely not the path I took. But when I was about that age, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
But there's a connection there. You're caring for people. You want to do what's right. You're doing.
Yeah, but I think one thing that's been true my whole life,
Amazing.
Mother's side of the family is Jewish. My father's French. Both cultures, the way you show love for people is through food. Mm-hmm. And there's such a heavy emphasis on convening around the table with the people you care about, and that being kind of the anchor for the community.
That's what when we talk about when we were going through our new value and mission statement. Really, the big thing for me too, or the cook station, is like who's our community? Like, what do we represent? What do we want? Who do we want to attract? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be a great chef or someone that even wants to learn. I mean, it's about building at the table and the hospitality and enjoying food just as much as making it and creating it. So you can be on either sides of the giving or receiving of that, but that's really what we want to embody in what we do in most areas of the store.
We try.
Have you had
that cookie is amazing.
Have you had this?
No,
cardamom bun.
Gotta have the cardamom now.
Oh my God.
And I know that you are starting to do a pizza night.
No.
We are.
There you go.
Yes. So our first pizza night is May 1st, this Friday. Roman style pizza.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing these large format, rectangular, really crispy, kind of interesting rustic toppings. Not a whole lot like the pizza you're used to getting here in the States. It's made to be eaten right out of the oven. We're just going to sell it by the slice. There's really nowhere else in the village where you can just hop in and grab something to eat quickly on First Fridays. And First Fridays, the village gets really busy. So this is something I've wanted to do since we opened the bakery. And now we finally have found the bandwidth. And I've got a buddy who's just obsessed with pizza. And he's like, let's do this thing. So we've been testing it for months now. We did kind of a friends and neighbors soft launch 2 weeks ago. That went great. And now it's going live this Friday.
Cool. So people, I don't think they know when you say a Roman style or, there's Sicilian style, there's pub style and all that. Tell us about Roman style pizza.
Roman style is actually fairly thin, but it's a bit fluffy and it's crispy. So if you imagine this big flatbread, in Rome, the purest version of it, they'll just bake it with olive oil, or they'll just put a simple tomato sauce and bake it, and that's it. But then it gets more creative from there. So we've got a version that has sliced potato and rosemary and some fontina cheese, and we finish it with a little lemon zest, and it's gorgeous.
I was about to say potato, perfect.
Yeah,
because when you're in Rome, that's how you get it out there with the potato and everything. It's amazing,
right? So in the gold potatoes, they get just a little bit crispy on the edges, and it's just this wonderful thing. We've got another one where we're using mortadella and some stracciatella and some toasted pistachios. And this grapefruit agrodolce on top. So it's got this contrast of like hot and cold happening. It's phenomenal. And then another one that's a bit more approachable. It has like crushed tomatoes, mozzarella, and some really nice fennel sausage from Revival Butchery. And that's the one that like looks like what people expect when they're going to see pizza, but it's to a whole different level. And then we finish it with these fresh pickled jalapenos when they come out of the oven, so they're still crunchy and have like vibrant brightness. So it kind of scratches the itch of that like bell pepper on a supreme pizza, but on a different level for sure.
Love Roman pizza.
Your job Friday is to go pick up about 6 slices and bring it to me.
No. You got to come and eat it standing up at the counter. By the time it gets to you, it's dead.
It won't even get to me, probably.
No. What's the size? How big are they?
So the ones we're doing are about this big, but we're selling them by the slice.
So it's so funny that in New York there was people that I'm an anti-slice guy. I think you gotta sell the pizza as a pizza, because once you start doing slices,
what's wrong with you?
I don't know. I'm in that New York frame of mind. Once you cut it up and it sits, to your point, you got to get it kind of at the ready.
Right.
So selling by the slice is hard, and a lot of Italian purists are like, slice? Really?
Well,
got to be a pot.
A New York slice is, again, made to be eaten right then.
Yeah.
And I would beg to differ that it's better when it's been reheated, because then that bottom crust gets crispier, and you get a little bit more caramelization on the cheese. And for me, that's the best part. Like, I would much rather have a reheated slice, because I like what you say. If I get a hold of like New York style pie and I'm going to take it to go, I tell them don't cut it.
Yeah.
Because then I'm going to throw it in my oven at home and I'm going to crisp it back up and then I'm going to cut it. Because I know that's the best way to eat the pizza.
Oh, yeah.
We've been fighting.
I eat it cold out of the fridge, too. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, that, don't get me wrong.
It's breakfast. It's called breakfast.
Yeah. But Roman style pizza is made to be eaten on the move, standing up, over a paper plate.
Yeah.
Right then. So that's what we're doing.
I'm just going to have to swing by real quick, I think. Right before class starts, that's all.
So you're doing a class with us, or a dinner, on Thursday. This is, 6th, 7th, 8th?
You got to do a pizza class.
It's been a bunch.
Yeah, so we pretty much do it quarterly almost.
Close. I think we've averaged about 3 a year.
Okay, around 3 a year. But that is, we tie in a component of bread with also Chef Craig Coons and in 5 different dishes, so you're an amazing chef outside of just baking bread. Where did that inspiration come from?
The cooking
Yeah,
side
just
of it?
the cooking side of it.
I love to eat.
Okay.
And I love great food, and I grew up poor. So the thing was, all right, if I want to eat this thing, how can I figure out how to make it?
Yeah.
Right? And I can maybe make it better than I could get it elsewhere anyway. And that was it. I've always been this.
So everything was self-taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm a student of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's resources everywhere. I wouldn't say I taught myself. I learned from so many different sources, right? And I think that's one of the best things that have served me well in starting my own business is being able to admit what I don't know, figuring out who might know it better than me, and going and asking them and saying, "Hey, do you have time for a phone call? Can I pick your brain for a minute?" And it's amazing the generosity of so many people that will say, "Yeah, I'll chat with you. No problem." People love to share their knowledge. Absolutely love. Chefs, not so much. Chefs will gatekeep some stuff.
Some stuff.
But bakers especially are like, absolutely. If you want to hear what my experience has brought me, I'm happy to share with you. So, that's been a lot of fun. I think I deviated from your question a little bit, but food is life, right? Food is community. Feeding people is what brings people together. And I think that really flourished when I was in college. My second year, I was still in the dorm, but I was able to secure a room, and they called it a hall director's apartment. So it had a little kitchenette in it. So I didn't have to have a meal plan. I saved a bunch of money, and then I could get food stamps because I was poor, right? So I was like, great, I've got free food and I've got a kitchen. So I would just like have buddies over for dinner and then like barter with them and be like, hey, go get a pizza from the dining hall on Tuesday. I don't feel like cooking. I'll cook for you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. And it was just great. And I like built this community around just like feeding people.
Where'd you go to school?
Actually in Michigan. I went to Ferris State University in their automotive program.
Nice.
Who knew that, that career was going to serve me for a big portion of my adult life, but now we're doing something else. But yeah, food was always the one constant. Growing up, my mom, no matter how poor we were, if there were kids from the neighborhood around at dinner time, they got fed. And that's just a sentiment that I fully agree with.
Cool.
Good Jewish mother's not going to let anyone go without.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to be a mensch.
Oh, yeah. Mensch. I love those words. Mensch on the bench. But
a couple of things. I'd like to cover the name and the imagery. The mural and the octopus and all that. Just inspiration for that. The name seems to be not only connected to bread, obviously, but there's also a spiritual community of connection, I'm imagining, to Rise. So let's just talk about that. And I didn't know I know you're a car guy. He's obviously a car guy. You
got that nice Volkswagen out there.
Yeah, so you've got whatever you have, like 9,000 cars or something. If you wanted to cover that, then we'll go to the closing.
Okay.
All right, John, here's
yeah, that cuts.
So you can just
I will.
you
never use your knife, do you?
All right, so going back to Rise and the name, where did Rise come from? Obviously, it's bread rises. Is there any further deeper meaning behind that?
I'm happy you asked me that. I haven't been asked that question in a long time. I'm a big fan of a one-word business name, and I feel like that name should be evocative. It should tie into what the business is. And frankly, I think when we were trying to name the bakery, I wanted to start an Instagram page to start taking orders online, selling bread out of my house. And I just had a sit down brainstorm set, probably a few glasses of wine or a few beers with some friends. And we were just throwing names around and Googling to see if they were taken. And then we settled on Rise. And when Google searching, I found that there were enough other bakeries also named Rise that I was probably in the clear. There were none near us, but it was a fairly common name. But I thought it fully encapsulated how I feel about the bakery. One, it makes you think about the bread rising, right? But then also rising early in the morning in order to be a baker, and then helping our bakers rise within the community and being an upward force in the community as well. So I think it hits on a lot of different levels. And one of my favorite little sayings is we rise by uplifting others, and by helping other people and encouraging other people and teaching people skills. We all benefit from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What time does the morning shift start?
Weekdays, first baker's in at 3 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. Luckily, we've got some nice ovens. They're programmed to be on and hot when that 3 a.m. baker shows up. So they're able to just start loading bread right in the oven and rock on.
That's incredible. And then, so you have your shirt on, that's the mural that's on the business, correct?
Correct.
Where did that inspiration come from? Who's the artist?
Well, I was really lucky when the space came available in the village because that part of town, it was just always attractive to me. My first house was like 2 miles away. We were over by the Greenville Lofts. I bought my first house there when I was 20 years old. So I kind of grew up in that area, if you will. And one thing I loved about it was how vibrant the area was and how there's murals on lots of different businesses. So when I secured this space, I was like, oh, well, we need a mural. We got to do it. So I started talking to different artists and figuring out, well, what's allowed, what's the process, how do you get it approved? There's a whole art and public spaces committee. And the biggest thing is that a mural has to just be art. It can't have any relation to your business. It just has to be art for art's sake. And the first design I worked with Sunny Malarkey. She did a lot of the other murals in the village, and we worked on this design that was like stalks of wheat coming up the side of the building. And the Art and Public Places Committee went, no, that's too much like signage. You've got a stalk of wheat in your logo, like not going to fly. And I was like, all right, great. And she and I kind of kicked around a couple other ideas, and like nothing really spoke to me. And then I met a guy named Ezra Van Dam, and he lived in Greenville for a while, but he's Belgian. He since has moved back. But he was like this hyper-realist artist, and he would paint these like the in the zoo, like the animal enclosures, they'll paint the backdrop to make it look like nature. Like that was the kind of painting that he did. And he and I started chatting and riffing about stuff. And I remembered when I was in Puerto Rico, I saw this mural. Frankly, it wasn't a very high quality mural, but it was a mural of this blue octopus. And I was like, that's freaking cool. I really like that. So I was like, Ezra, let's do it, but better. And he drafted up this design that I was like, that's
crazy
I
cool.
absolutely love it. Like, and that was the thing. I was like, all right, if we're going to do something wild, then let's just do something wild.
Yeah.
And I love the fact because people go, why an octopus? I'm like, why not?
Yeah, of course. Why?
They're incredible. Yeah. They're like the coolest. If there is ever evidence of extraterrestrial life, it's an octopus. They are the craziest creatures. And I've since learned so much about octopus just because I get to talk about them all the time. So we started with the octopus. His name is Eugene, by the way, named by the artist. Don't ask me why. You'll have to ask him. He just saw him and said, oh, he looks like a Eugene. I said, all right. We get a lot of customers that bring dogs in, walking their dogs through the village. They'll stop in the bakery. They try to walk inside, and we have to say, hey, sorry, like health department says we can't have animals in here. So I attached a hook to the front window so people could hook their dogs up. Yeah. I was like, well, all right, how do I communicate to people that this is where you connect your dog without putting a sign that has instructions? So I said, hey, Ezra, how about we put a creature down with a leash attached to it, and you paint it to where it looks like the leash is attached to the hook. And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. What kind of creature should we do? I'm like, well, we've got an octopus. What would go well with an octopus? So we decided on a lobster. So we've got a lobster on a leash on the front of the bakery. His name is Homer. And that's because the French word for lobster is homard. So I was like, great. We've got Homer and we've got Eugene. We've got our octopus and our lobster, and now we've got our mascots for the bakery.
That is the greatest story in the history of all stories. That is the great, and it's funny because the names fit. You know,
they're great.
Yeah, why? Yeah,
why not?
Yes, octopus can't be Steve or anything cool. It has to be.
It has to be Eugene.
Looks like a Eugene.
That's exactly what it has to be.
Exactly. And now every time people ask me what the story is, I get to tell them something different every time.
I just think, yeah.
And the best thing about lies is you can tell them however you want to.
Yeah. And then in 15, 16 years, people are going to there's going to be 7 stories about how Eugene got his name. And everyone's going to fight about it. It's even going to be even funnier.
Hey, if people are talking about us to that level, I will be thrilled.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I love the lobster.
All right. So we have like some rapid fire closing questions.
Love it.
So just quick, first thing, don't think about it too much. Or you can expand on it as much as you'd like at the same time.
All right.
What's the greatest compliment you've ever received?
Goodness. That is not a rapid fire answer question. Okay,
it's a closing question, not rapid fire, I guess.
Okay, so probably the best compliment I've ever received, and this is, I'm going to get a little sentimental here. Yeah. My father, born and raised in France, taught at the Culinary Institute, was involved in the height of fine dining in New York City in the 80s, like head maitre d'. Oh, yeah. Like when dining was a true art, he was present with that. And he was always an avid cook, always hung out in the kitchen with the chefs, even though he was front of house. And I've always just really loved the way my father cooks, and it's just like very like simple but highly technical French cooking. And a couple years ago, I was visiting with him, and I can't even remember what I cooked for him. But he turned to me and he goes, "You know, you're a better cook than I am." And to me, that was the highest compliment.
Yeah.
That was touching. Yeah.
I
don't think he was right, but it was a good compliment.
Man, I love the bread. I love the tooth too. I mean, like the crust that has that little tooth that snap, but the inside's really kind of soft.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. We need to get some olive
All right.
oil.
What's your weirdest habit or obsession currently?
Oh gosh, weirdest habit. Oh, now I'm going to say something gross. I don't know.
Or obsession, learning about octopus.
He's a Taylor Swift fan. He's going to let it all out. What's going on? What's going on over there? She makes me feel.
I don't know. I'm always just learning something.
Yeah.
And my daughter's 7, so she's in an age right now where like everything is new and interesting and fun and exciting. So I love to like see things through her eyes and like get to explain stuff that I think is like everyday and mundane things. So I don't know. I guess my obsession right now, the thing I'm really loving is fitness, actually. Okay. I mean, surprise, surprise, you open a food business and you get out of shape, right? I'd been an avid cyclist for a long time, and then I had a kid and opened a bakery, and next thing I knew, I was like borderline diabetic and like getting overweight, and I was like, okay, I got to fix something. So I've gotten into, essentially we call it functional movement, but my girlfriend calls it grown-up recess.
Okay.
So I go to the gym and, we take our shoes off and we get on the mats and we're doing handstands and cartwheels and calisthenics and acrobatics and, all these different movements. And it's just a blast.
Yeah.
I have so much fun. And I'm in the best shape of my life and I'm about to turn 40 this year. So I'm like, all right, this is fun. Like I'm kind of addicted to this.
Yeah. Going back, sorry, I'm going to go off, but the help, talk about starting a bakery and things like that. But you've actually had people that were told their whole life they can't have gluten that can eat the sourdough bread,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Everybody villainizes bread. Everyone. It's just the worst.
Well, I think, Vinny, I'm sure you can relate to this too, right? How many times have you gotten to cook a dish and people go, I don't like that?
All the time.
Right? And my response always is, well, there's bad versions of everything.
Yeah.
Let me give you a better version and let's see if you like this one. And that it's a similar thing. I think gluten has been villainized, and I think there's a lot of legitimacy to the fact that when a lot of people eat commercially produced breads, their bodies don't like it, right? But that's not the gluten's fault. It's just bad bread.
Mm-hmm.
It's irresponsibly grown grains. It's bread full of a bunch of additives and fillers and nonsense. It's fermented too quickly. They're using too much yeast. I mean, you name it, it's not good for your body. We rewound it all the way back, and we're doing it the hard way, the slow way, the fiscally irresponsible way, if you will, right? Because it takes up a lot of space and a lot of time. But we're using whole grains that are organically grown and stone milled in North Carolina. We get them from a mill called Carolina Ground. Beautiful, beautiful whole grains. So there's a lot of that. It's about 17% whole grain in this country loaf you're eating right now. And on Saturdays, we do one that's 100% stone milled whole wheat. And it's a beautiful, beautiful bread. I call it like the single malt whiskey of bread. Because you really get to enjoy the nuance of one type of grain in a way that like is foreign to most people. But all that being said, if you use good quality grains, you ferment the dough properly so it actually starts to pre-digest in certain ways, so it makes those nutrients available to your body, and it breaks down a lot of the proteins that are harder for people to process. All of a sudden, you can eat the bread, right? They say, I go to Europe, I can eat everything. Well, that's because we make it like they make it in Europe. So we're slowly trying to reintroduce people to the fact that like, hey, if you eat good bread, you'll probably be okay. Mm-hmm. Now, some allergies are severe, and I tread very lightly when people ask me, "Hey, can I eat this bread?" I'm like, "Hey, other people have had success. Let me know if you have an adverse reaction." But I have yet to have somebody come back and say I did have an adverse reaction. So we're just trying to be responsible, make good bread.
What was the last song you listened to on the way over here?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I like silence.
Silence on the way over. Okay.
Usually
speaking like a true business owner, just something when you finally get in the car, you're like, oh, please just turn off all the noise.
That's right.
I just need no
especially
noise.
having a young kid. I mean, right? Like
I drive in silence now because I never get it otherwise. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, not all the time, but yes, I appreciate the silence sometimes.
It's great.
Yeah.
And when I do listen to music, I'm really old school. I just turn on the radio.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Whatever comes on,
whatever
comes
comes on is fine with me because I don't really care. My mind is wandering. I'm just, something.
It's background noise.
Something to tap my toe to,
What are you binge watching right now?
Oh gosh, what's that show I just started? Paradise?
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's kind of like this dystopian, futuristic show about like there was an apocalyptic event in the U.S. and now there's a small community of people that are like living underground and trying to like recreate like Pleasantville, USA. Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay. What's the most famous person you've met?
Vinny.
Oh,
the
that's
talent
all.
is right
That's
here.
all Vinny needs to hear. That's all. Now I have see. Now you wound him up. Now I have to deal with that for the next 4 days. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the fact that I want to eat the rest of the cookie, I'd just throw you out of my house.
Kidding.
I would just throw you out of my house right now.
Vinny will take every opportunity he can to let you know that he is the most humble person you've ever met.
Yeah, he'll take every opportunity. Yeah. Oh my Lord.
Most famous person I met? I don't know. When I was a kid, for whatever reason, my mom worked at this resort and I met George Steinbrenner.
Okay.
And he gave me his hat and he signed it and I was like 6.
Wow, nice.
And it's so funny because Steinbrenner and Vinny, same person. Just
Pretty
pretty
much
much
Met fan.
the same, the same arrogant SOB. You know. Yeah.
All right, who inspires you?
If you say Vinny, you're definitely. If you say Vinny, you're definitely being thrown out of the house. If one more Vinny comment comes out, you are definitely being. Tossed.
Vinny's car collection inspires me.
Oh Lord.
Who inspires me? Anybody passionate.
Okay.
Like, I don't care what you're excited about. Like, you could tell me about the most, like, esoteric variety of, like, oak tree that you're obsessed with. But, like, if you are truly passionate about a thing, then, like, I want to
Gets
hear
you
about
riled
it.
up too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's your go-to flavoring? Like spice, herb, seasoning. When you're cooking at night.
Savory cooking?
Sure.
MSG.
That's my favorite Seinfeld is when Kramer, he asked somebody was going to get Chinese food. He goes, oh yeah, tell him to get some extra MSG. That was his thing. He told him, yeah, have some extra MSG in that thing.
Yeah. No, it's like the secret weapon in the kitchen. It's been villainized forever.
Craig
too.
used to go in a spiel about that. I feel like was like people's like, well, does that have MSG in it? It's like, well, do you really know what MSG is?
Yeah.
We keep a container in the kitchen still. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's like the secret weapon for sure. That or like acid. Like using acid in a dish will really take it to the next level and help like balance things out. So like take a stew and finish it with a little vinegar or something. Like it really brightens everything up in a cool way.
All right. Last one. What profession other than your own would you do if you weren't a baker right now?
I'm going to guess archetype.
Oh gosh, no, I can't draw worth a damn. I'm really intrigued by property development, actually. Just something about like the process of taking a piece of dirt and turning it into something cool. I think is
City
a lot
Council.
of fun.
See it kind of coming. All right.
I don't know. It's just fun making things, Like the best part of opening the bakery for me was figuring out where everything was going to go and laying it all out and like drawing it, the layout of the equipment and figuring out how everything was going to flow and like getting everything just right. And I mean,
How did you get those ovens in there?
through the front door.
Really? Oh. I was wondering. I was looking back there. I'm like, how do you get those damn things in here?
A lot of mechanical advantage.
Oh.
Yeah, that 3-deck oven. So the oven's as big as a car.
Yeah.
But we had just a regular 36-inch door in the front of the bakery. We're like, all right, well, how are we going to get this thing in here? So we unstacked the decks with a forklift. They're about 700-800 pounds a piece. Stood them on their sides, got them into the door, and then used like a hydraulic lift table to restack them back on top of each other and then rewire everything and make it all work. But now I'm like, this building is going to burn down around these with this. Like, we're not doing that again. If I have to pull the ovens out, when we have to replace them, because I hope to be there for 30 years, we'll just replace the whole storefront. Yeah, we'll pull the whole front off the building, roll it out, roll the new one in, and replace the windows.
It's like a bank vault. It's in there for life.
It is. I mean,
it's just in there for life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun story to tell. That was maybe the longest day of my life.
How many square feet are you in?
1,400.
That's tight.
Yeah, 20 employees.
That is real. That's not real tight.
It's well choreographed, but we're never all in there at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming in today. Is there anything else you want to share about exciting new things happening at Rise or any plugs you want to do?
I mean, the biggest ones are, pizza nights on First Fridays. I think those are going to be a blast. Our soft launch was just a riot, and we had so much fun. Live in the Village is going to be great. Free art and music festival. I'll also be there with my other pop-up concept, grilling French sausages. So just as a quick backstory on that one, visiting my family in France, every time you go to the farmer's market, there's always just a guy grilling sausages on baguette with Dijon mustard.
Beautiful.
It's like the most simple thing,
Yes.
just like a rustic country sausage. Yeah. So I went to Revival and I was like, hey guys, here's how they make the sausages in France. This is what I want. Jeremy's lived in France for a little while, so he's like, okay, I think I know what you're looking for. And they nailed it. So I just grill them over hardwood charcoal on a fresh baguette, a squirt of Dijon mustard. It's one of the best things ever.
Oh, yeah.
So we did them at the farmers market in the Village last winter. It went great. So I'm like, cool. I'm gonna bring them to the music festival as well. I think it'll be a great offering. So those will be the first weekends again in May, June, and then September and October. Saturday night, free concerts, food, vendors, artists. It's gonna be great.
All right.
Fantastic.
Cool.
We'll be there.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right.
Thank you for coming,
What
man.
time you starting pizzas Friday?
Yeah.
5 to 8.
5 to 8? I gotta try to squeeze by there real quick then.
Yeah.
And I'll stand there and eat a piece.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in today with our guest Julian, and of course Vinny and John are still here. As always, if you have a question that you would like to ask an upcoming chef or ideas, please email us at askachef@thecookstation.com. And he'll put that up there. But, yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
All right.
Cool.
This is fantastic.
Morning, bud.
That one is great. I love the bread.
This is insane.
Carnival bud. Have you had